America, we gotta get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, happy Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend, everybody. Hope you all had a good weekend. A short show today. In fact, a very short show today. That may make many of you smile. I don't feel well, but more importantly, I've just got one thing to put out there today. Just one thing to put out there today. What kind of a country do we want to be? What kind of a people do we want to be? These things, the Constitution, do we the people want that to matter anymore? Separation of powers, checks and balances, all of that. Do the American people even want a judiciary branch anymore? We get to decide what kind of country do we want to be. Do we want to live in a country with a president who is restrained, who does not have unlimited powers? We get to decide this. And here's the beauty of Donald Trump. Here is the absolute fucking beautiful thing about Donald Trump. Because Trump is so bad and so dishonest and so corrupt and so cruel and so authoritarian and so lawless, because take all of the politicians throughout American history, the good and the bad, and kind of put them all together, and all politicians lie, and all politicians fudge, and all politicians over the years try to break the rules and sometimes break the laws and extend their power to get their way. That's gone on from the beginning of time, Republican and Democrat. But the beautiful thing about Donald Trump is he's that on steroids. I've said this before. All politicians lie. Trump lies every time he opens his mouth. So the beautiful thing about Trump is we get to decide as a people, do we want a president who lies all the time? We kind of decided that. Trump is openly corrupt. Whereas a lot of politicians, right, are corrupt, and they'll hide their corruptness and they'll hide their deal making. Trump puts it right out there, right out in the open. Before he got sworn in as president, he said, look, I'm going to enrich myself. I'm going to use these next 4 years to enrich myself. Crypto and Bitcoin and whatever, and Trump's properties. He's not trying at all, Trump, to hide how he's going to use his public office to enrich himself personally. It's why he suggested condos in Gaza. But again, the beautiful thing is we get to decide if that's the kind of country we want to live in. The beautiful thing about Donald Trump is he's really quickly, again, because he's so bad, like he is the absolute worst of us. He is the absolute worst of us. But the beautiful thing about that is it forces us, right, to not look away and to not hem and haw and to not deal with some of the decisions we got to deal with, because Trump is in our face every day and he's just intolerant and cruel and corrupt and lawless. The beautiful thing about that is we have no choice but to decide. Like Trump puts it right there in front of us. He puts it right there in front of us. What do you want to do? I'm gonna break this law. I'm gonna break these rules. I'm gonna fire these people. I'm gonna do things I don't have the authority to do. Donald Trump says every fucking day, and the American people are forced to decide. It's a beautiful thing. Trump is forcing us in real time to decide if this is what we want to be. And right now, Donald Trump is laying the groundwork to force us as a people to decide if we want to remain a nation of laws. Plain and simple. Trump's putting it out there, right? A gazillion executive orders and actions. The vast majority of Trump's executive orders and executive actions have been taken to court, are probably unlawful. He does probably not have the constitutional authority to carry out. And right now, courts are holding up Trump's executive orders. Virtually every executive order Trump has put out there has been taken to court. Birthright citizenship, the funding freeze, the federal buyouts, the USAID leave, Elon Musk getting all that private access to Treasury Department data. All of these things that Trump is trying to do have been taken to court. And Donald Trump and his vice president, J.D. Vance, over the weekend started bitching and moaning about the courts, about the judiciary, laying the groundwork, Trump and Vance are, for ignoring a court ruling. That's what they're doing. That's what Trump, again, the beautiful thing about Donald Trump, he's so corrupt and so lawless. He's putting it out there right in front of us now, he and J.D. Vance. Screw the courts. The courts are corrupt. The courts are the deep state. The courts have no right, zero right, weighing in on my executive orders. No, hell no, we're going to ignore them. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance laying the groundwork to ignore the law. That's what they're doing. They're priming their supporters and their followers. J.D. Vance put this out yesterday on Super Bowl Sunday. Keith, you got that? There it is. Here's J.D. Vance. If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command an attorney general on how to use his or her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. Thanks, Keith. Like, I read that from J.D. Vance, and I said, J.D. Vance, when was the last time you read an American history book? When was the last time you read a book on our Constitution? J.D. Vance doing what he did right there, again, laying the groundwork. So if a judge says Trump's birthright citizenship executive order is unconstitutional, Trump and Vance will probably just ignore the ruling. If a judge says Trump's funding freeze, automatically freezing all of this congressionally appropriated funding, if a judge says that's unconstitutional, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will ignore that court ruling. And yeah, constitutional crisis, right? When a president says, fuck you to the law, fuck you to the judiciary, you might think, oh my God, a constitutional crisis. Understand where we are, though. And again, just a little background for everybody. 3 branches of the federal government, right? 3 independent branches of the federal government, right? The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judiciary branch. The legislative branch, Congress, is no longer independent. The Republicans control Congress. Donald Trump controls them. So right now, we don't have 3 independent branches of government. We have 2. the executive branch, the president, and the judiciary. Congress has already folded in their tent. They're working for Trump. That's a constitutional crisis because Congress, right, is abdicating its duty. It's like JD Vance when he put that tweet out yesterday. Excuse me, have you not heard of the Constitution? Have you, JD Vance, not heard of separation of powers? Have you not heard of checks and balances? JD Vance telling his supporters, this is why this is so important. Again, we get to decide. Trump and Vance and all the rest of them told Trump supporters that Trump won in 2020. So now Trump supporters have lost faith in our elections system. Trump did that on purpose. He's trying to do the same thing now to the law. JD Vance knows the truth. I don't think Trump knows the truth because Trump's an idiot. But JD Vance knows there are three independent, separate branches of government. And JD Vance knows that, right? The judiciary branch's only role is to determine the constitutionality of whatever Congress or the president might do. That's their job. That's their independent check on a president and on Congress for that matter. That law is not constitutional. That executive order is not constitutional. In this beautiful system that our founders set up, that's the judiciary branch's check on executive overreach. The judiciary branch doesn't make law. The judiciary branch doesn't say, they don't weigh in and say, we think we should cut federal spending or not. JD Vance talked about that last week too. Like, oh, the judiciary branch is probably a bunch of libs who don't want to cut spending. Again, Trump's an idiot. JD Vance knows better. That's not the court's job, not to weigh in on the levels of government spending. Their only job is to determine what Trump did when it comes to trying to cut government spending, whether that is legal or not, whether that is constitutional or not. But do we not want that? Do we no longer want to be a nation of laws? And by the way, again, JD Vance and everybody else, go back and read your civics, right? The three branches, separation of powers, checks and balances. If a judge says, if a court says, Trump's your birthright citizenship executive order is unconstitutional, a president has recourse. Appeal the ruling, pass or execute another executive order, pass a law. Each branch can respond to the checks that each branch puts on each other. And what's really critical about this time right now is one of the branches of government, Congress, has decided not to put any checks on the president. So Congress, led by Republicans, is perfectly fine with the president being a king. Well, gosh, the judiciary, that may be our last stance, right? But we get to decide. Hear me, hear me. When the courts come down and rule on Trump's executive orders, whatever rulings Trump doesn't like, he will ignore. He will thumb his nose and give a middle finger to the rule of law. Instead of exercising one of his recourses, appealing the ruling, signing a different executive order, he will just ignore the court ruling. He will take this country further down that road that we're on, which is a constitutional crisis. if a president ignores the laws and a president ignores court rulings, we no longer have a president. You get that, right, Jolene? You get that, right, Brian? You get that, right, everybody? If the guy we put in the White House, and again, this is the beauty of Trump, because he's going to make us decide, right? When Trump says, fuck those court rulings, I'm doing what I want. Fuck what the court says, I'm putting the military on the streets. Fuck what the court says, I'm deporting kids who were born here. I don't care what the court says about birthright citizenship. When Trump says, fuck what the court said about my funding freeze, I'm cutting all this spending and firing all these federal employees. When Trump does that, going against the law, against the courts, Donald Trump, the beauty of Trump is he will force us as a people to once again decide what the hell kind of a people do we want to be. And in this case, do we want to continue to be a nation of laws? End of story. Because the guy in the White House is a criminal. And the beauty of Trump, and you may say, Joe, like I've heard over the years, oh, Joe, they're all criminals. The beauty of Trump is he looks you in the eyes and he says, fuck it. I don't care about you. I'm going to be a criminal. And it forces us to decide. Forces us to decide right now. We get to decide right now. Trump's going to give us that opportunity because he and J.D. Vance are going to ignore these court rulings that go against him. He and J.D. Vance are going to spiral this country down the cliff of a constitutional crisis. And he and J.D. Vance are going to force us immediately, I mean immediately, to very quickly decide, whoa, should we still be a nation of laws? Should we? Or fuck it, because I like that Trump has so much power and I like the stuff he's doing. So that's a tough one, Joe. Let me see. On one side, I got the Constitution and the law. On the other side, I got Trump and I love what he's doing. How much time do I have? I got to make a decision right away. Yeah, America. Because of Trump, we got to make a decision right away because Trump's going to ignore these court rulings. And then the people, we got to decide, wait a minute. We don't have a king. We don't have a tyrant in the White House. He can't just ignore the law. Hey, Susie, can Trump just ignore the law? Like if a court rules somehow and he doesn't like the court ruling, does the president of the United States have the power to just say, fuck it, I'm going to ignore it and do my thing anyways? Susie, is that true? We get to decide. In many ways, thank God for Donald Trump. Praise the Lord. Praise Jesus for Donald Trump. Because we've been kind of just dithering a little bit on the edges about these things called democracy and the Constitution and decency and tolerance and freedom and the rule of law and like these original kind of cool American ideals that we've all loved, right? And all say we believed in. And along comes a guy that we elect that says, fuck democracy, fuck the rule of law, fuck tolerance, fuck freedom, fuck decency. And then forcing us then to decide, oh my God, do I want to live in a country where we're tolerant? Do I want to live in a country where we have laws? That's a tough one. Or do I want to give the president of the United States unlimited power? Do I want Trump to be able to be a king? I guess what I'm saying, gang, is because of Trump, thanks to Trump, we can no longer avoid this question right in front of us right now. He's acting like a king because he thinks he can get away with. He thinks he can get away with it. And the courts, if we still believe we're a nation of laws, the courts are going to strike down a lot of what he's doing, because a lot of what he's doing, he doesn't have the authority to do. And then Trump's going to ignore the rulings. And we then have to decide, do we support Trump being a king and ignoring law? Or do we say, no, that's a bridge too far? If we're not a nation of laws, gosh, then what are we? And by the way, I signed my name onto one of these briefs about Trump's buyouts, the illegality of Trump's buyouts. I signed onto that brief filed yesterday because it is an illegal move. I leave you with this. To all my Republican MAGA who are listening, who said this? Concentrated power has always been the enemy of liberty. God bless you, Joanne. Who said that, MAGA? Concentrated power has always been the enemy of liberty. Which American president said that? You got it, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan said that. Concentrated power has always been the enemy of liberty. Donald Trump is concentrating power, again, the beauty of Trump, at a rate we've never seen. And so he's forcing us to decide, do we want to be a country where a king can have all of this power? Or do we want to be a country where liberty and the law rule? We get to decide. But make no mistake, Trump is taking us there every single day. Thanks for listening, everybody. Apologize that I'm a little under the weather. My email, joewalshwhiteflag@gmail.com. That's all one word, joewalshwhiteflag@gmail.com. No kings, no kings, no kings. You see it there above me. Go to oneflaginitiative.org. Thank you, Sarah. Oneflaginitiative.org. That's all one word, oneflaginitiative.org. Go there, join me, change your profile pic to the No Kings. Tell the American people that we don't have kings in America. God bless you all. Thanks for listening, everybody. Back tomorrow in a big way. Be brave. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract